He hugged Linda and said, "Welcome to the family." So we went and picked her up, but the car was kind of crowded. So the first time I met her, there was no place for her to sit except in my lap, which I thought was kind of interesting when you just met somebody 2 seconds ago. And that was in November. And then we were just glued together from that point on. And then on Valentine's Day the following year, which is only 3 months later, because we met on November 14th, we decided to get engaged. But I was 19, and in Kansas, you couldn't get married under the age of 21 without parental consent. Well, I talked to my parents, but for obvious reasons. You're 19, you're in school, you met this girl 3 months ago. The idea of getting married is absurd. And so they would not agree to sign the papers. So I decided I'm going to go to Washburn Law School and do some research myself. So I go in and I start fiddling around with some old law books, and I find this law book that says, in the state of Texas, a man just needs to be 18 to get married. So I thought, okay, we'll drive down to Texas and we'll get married. Sounds like a pretty good plan. Well, I had nothing. All I had was the clothes on my back. I didn't even have a pair of shoes to wear. So we drive down to Texas. We go into the courthouse, and it's about 2 minutes until noon. I hand her the papers that we had. She signs off on them, takes off for lunch. We go into the judge's chambers. The witness is the district attorney who had just completed the divorce case. And the judge's name was Stuart Nunn. And he was a fine old gentleman. And he says to us, he said, "Do you want the $5 wedding or the $25 special?" I said, "Judge, I think we should do the $5 wedding." And he says, "Good choice."
You remember what car you were driving?
Mustang, 1966 blue Mustang.
And gasoline at this time was?
Probably 24 cents a gallon, 29 maybe. We get back up there and our rent is $90 because we got back basically, I think on the 1st of the month, the 1st of April. Linda and I had $90.10 to our name. So we handed over the $90 to Mr. Greco.
What did your parents say when you came back and you were like, I got married anyway?
My mother wasn't speaking to me, and my father was the kind of guy who let my mother take care of a lot of this. It was sort of a matriarchal household. Until my favorite uncle passed away. When Linda and I were walking up to the funeral home, it's a little emotional for me. My father came out and greeted us. He hugged Linda and said, "Welcome to the family."
Oh, hello, love is fleeting, so it goes. I met the girl today that I will wed, and she said to me, "If you please, could you move over one seat?" I'm sorry, dear, there isn't one, but we can make it work. And let's go down in my old blue 66 Ford. I know we're just kids, but doesn't it make sense for a guy like me with only 90 something to my name to make with you something of a life we're proud of? think she'd give her yes to me. We'd only met but 90 days ago. And what can I do when mom and dad said give it time and you'll be glad you did, lad? I'm sorry, son, but not this one. Let's go down in my old blue 66 Ford. I know we're just kids, but doesn't it make sense for a guy like me with only 90 something to my name to make with you something of a life we're proud of? It's been some time, Dad and I still haven't spoken, but could I come home? There's someone you need to meet. We laid my uncle down into the ground and composing up something resounding, Father came up to my wife and me. He pulled my dearie close and said, welcome to the family. I said, Dad, we went down in my old blue 66 Ford. I know we're just kids, but doesn't it make sense for a guy like me with only 90 something to my name to make with her something of a life you're proud of?